Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So apparently the Democrats, or I should say the Democratic donors, have chosen their nominee, or at the very least have started lining up behind a particular nominee. Who's our presidential hopeful? Who's the person who's showing themselves off for their donors to, check out the merchandise of sorts? We have one Kamala Harris. Now, I read this article in Observer with a slightly comical aspect of this. I mean, granted, there's reality to it because, yeah, of course these guys are chosen in back rooms. It's more so the tone deafness of it, if that makes sense. You've just had a candidate to lose by $1.4 billion, raise $1.4 billion and lose. And you're out here now shopping for another candidate. And as you're, God, man, that's so embarrassing to say. Literally shopping for a candidate. The conversation that's being had here, honestly, when they're choosing these people, the conversation that's being had is, what's the least we can give society and get by? That's the conversation. Like, it's not, like, think of it this way. You're trying to get a job. And as you're trying to get that job, you're having a conversation with the management at that particular company. They want to pay you $100,000 a year. You want to get paid $200,000 a year. And there's a negotiation in the sense of saying, all right, where are we going to fall to try to make this deal work? I'm saying that this is to some degree the idea or the meta conversation of what's going on here with these guys choosing their hopeful. So society wants something. In order to get elected, in order to get our way, in the sense, this faction of the oligarchy, in order to get our plutocratic way, what are we willing to go in regards to giving society in order to get that society to vote for this candidate? So if you think society needs change, then hey, Obama looks pretty good because this guy won't shut up about change. And you have the bonus of that just being politics or a marketing slogan. In this case, you have another situation of they're like, wow, these progressives seem to be top of the agenda. Like, thanks to Sanders, for the most part, the progressives have had space in order to show this is what we espouse that we are. We need to find somebody who's at the very least can parrot or at the very least looks like what they say they are. This is the conversation to what is being had. The conversation wouldn't be to put up somebody who's a Hillary Clinton 2.0, at least not in the overt sense of the way Hillary Clinton ran, as if, look, I can do whatever the hell I want to do because otherwise you're going to get Donald Trump. Not that. That didn't work. We're not going to repeat that process. We're going to try to give the public some semblance of what they want. Who's our hopeful? We have Kamala Harris. We have Kamala Harris. This is the Observer. Clinton donors have picked their 2020 presidential nominee. The wealthy are lining up and rallying behind Senator Kamala Harris. Since Hillary Clinton's unexpected loss to Donald Trump, her donors have strategized with Democratic leadership about how to revive a failing party. Billionaire George Soros held a closed-door conference with wealthy donors in November 2016 that addressed how to take back power and was attended by House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi. On the weekend of Trump's inauguration, David Brock hosted a retreat for the most prolific Democratic donors to figure out how to, quote-unquote, kick Donald Trump's ass. Ooh, profanity. On July 15th, Page Six reported that Senator Kamala Harris, a potential 2020 Democratic presidential candidate, met with top Clinton donors in the Hamptons. Oh, that's so posh. Many figures in Clinton's inner circle attended, including Clinton's 2008 campaign finance chair, or co-chair, Michael Kepner, donors Dennis Mayall and Steve Gramble, and the Democratic National Committeeman Robert Zimmerman. Harris also attended a separate luncheon hosted by one of Clinton's top lobbyist bundlers, Liz Roberts. That's awesome. That's awesome. Meetings with Clinton donors signaled that they were rallying behind her, the 2020 Democratic presidential nominee. Harris has emerged as a leading figure in the Trump resistance. Politico reported that hearings regarding Trump's connection to Russia have enabled the Democratic Party to frame her as Trump's most aggressive critic. In response to one of the hearings she was involved in, she launched a slogan of courage, not courtesy. I have no idea what that means. However, despite this catchy slogan, Harris has not historically lacked the courage to hold her donors accountable when they have broke the law. Now, the case that they bring up is dealing something with Steve Munich. Apparently, his wife was a donor, and his wife did something that broke the law. Harris chose not to investigate the person who essentially ended up breaking the law. I'm going to attach the article to get more details. Yeah, like I said, there's a tone deafness about it. You have a situation where you ran a candidate who ran with the most arrogance, the profound arrogance in the way they ran the contest. That person loses. Now, in order for that person to even get to the contest itself, he had to cheat somebody else that was running in the same party. I'm just saying, man, not engaging that honestly, it's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get you anywhere. I'm going to give you advice, Democrats. I'm going to give you advice. Your path should have been to say, you were right. We cheated. We cheated Sanders. We shouldn't have did it. It was a bad thing. We shouldn't have did it. Pretending that there's unity in this situation where 15 million people has left your party just tells me that you're liars. That's all it tells me. Are you telling me that you don't believe that the people who are paying attention to politics are unaware that 15 million or more people have left your party? Are you completely unaware that you have a large faction of people who, for the most part, hate your party and believe your party is more of a problem and a disaster than the Republican Party? I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people. So pretending that there's unity and pretending that everything is just kumbaya, that doesn't get you anywhere, man. It doesn't get you anywhere. It gets you lost races. That's where it gets you. Kamala Harris, I would imagine, is chosen purely because it's like, hey, she's a woman, she's African American, meaning she's a minority, and she's considered somewhat progressive. So, hey, right, she's perfect choice. Perfect choice. We're not going to make the same mistakes with a Hillary Clinton. We're going to put up somebody else who looks slightly different. And for the most part, who would still give us what we want. How much are you willing to give? 100,000 or 200,000? This is a contest within the civilization itself, or within the society itself, between the oligarchs and everybody else. When you're looking at the candidates and you see a candidate come onto a political scene or something like that, you have to ask, where did these guys get the funding to do this? And whose funding is making the determination on who's actually going to run? You have a short list. The people who are willing to give these guys money, for the most part, are making a determination on who's going to be that person to run. I mean, I guess I need to nail that down. These people they don't have the capacity to just say, hey, I'm just running. And they're doing it on their own. Most of them don't do that. Most of them are given gobs and gobs of money. And their legitimacy as a candidate is often determined by how much money they're getting. So Hillary Clinton getting $1.4 billion doesn't matter if she's the most hated candidate in politics with the exception of Donald Trump. She got that much money, so yeah, she's a viable candidate. Everybody knows who she is. Nobody knows who Obama is, but shit, look at all the money that he's raising. He's a viable candidate. Same thing with Republicans. I'm just making a point. It's a little disconcerting that the people who are being put up to run aren't chosen by people per se. They're chosen by people who have money to choose them. And are the people with money to choose them going to choose somebody who's going to work contrary to their best interests? That's the question you need to ask yourself. Meaning, if Kamala Harris is going to see all these donors, regardless of what you think of Kamala Harris, do you honestly believe that she's going to go against the people who are giving her money to make that run? And do you believe that if she gets like $1 billion to run, say it's her, say she get $1 billion to run, that she's going to bite the hand that gave her that $1 billion? Or do you going to believe that she's going to do exactly what Obama did? come in office, give a massive tax cut, put Social Security on the table, on the chopping block, in order to have some grand bargain with the Republican Party. Like, I'm just making a point to you that the fact that the people who are choosing her are not going to choose people who are going to be against their vested interests. And if the people who pop up into the public consciousness, for the most part, are popped up because they were able to achieve a huge amount of money from a bunch of other people, then I guarantee you the interests of the people who are giving the money are going to be served, not yours. The conversation is between who the plutocrats think the public would vote for. Meaning that's the argument that's being had. That argument is not necessarily being had with you. That argument is being had to some degree with themselves. Who do we think can get elected? Yeah, this one. This one is about right. Yeah. We'll run this one. This one gives us the balance that we need, that we think the public will go for, and yet that they won't fuck us over. That's my thought. That's the way I think politics works in regards to how candidates are chosen. That's just my thought on how it regards to candidates chosen. I think there's a meta-narrative that goes on in regards to who's making the choice. You are not making that choice. You're not making that choice. Nobody's clamoring for any of these people to come up and run. Exception of Sanders, this is different. I'm just saying, or maybe even Tulsi Gabbard. But most of the people who are going to run, nobody's clamoring for those people to run. Those people, to some degree, are chosen. They either make a choice, and people make a decision on whether or not they would give them a lot of cash in order to make that run. If they believe that the public is, okay, that gives us a balance between what we think the public will bite, meaning the low bar the public is willing to accept, versus what we can get out of it. Then yeah, we think this guy is the person to run, in which case those are the people who you see running. You don't get the choice in the beginning. You get the choice after, but at that point, those people have already been pre-selected as okay to run based upon the wealthy donors who are giving them cash. So that's great. This is our political process. A beauty contest of people willing to sell themselves and sell out their country for the highest donor. American politics. It's amazing. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the content, feel free to share, rate, subscribe, and you can always support the work through Patreon. Thank you.